And we're following breaking news as we learn more details about a murder-suicide that happened on Madison's west side, who the couple was, and how the community is stepping up to help their children.
Plus, we're just a few months away from the November election. Which candidates are leading the polls? Political reporter Will Keneally will break down the numbers.
And will there be a strike? We're following the latest as railroad workers and companies continue to negotiate new contracts. You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with us at 5. We're continuing breaking news coverage at this hour. We now have formal confirmation of the Madison couple who died in a murder-suicide on Sunday.
And we do want to warn you, some of the details of this story are quite disturbing. The Dane County Medical Examiner has identified them as Jason and Jessica Ray, both 45 years old. Both were physician assistants with UW Health who worked in Madison clinics. Police say Jason Ray murdered his wife in their Darien Circle home. The medical examiner's office said Jessica was beaten and stabbed to death. Jason died from injuries he suffered when he walked into the path of a semi-truck on the interstate a short time later. Now, the couple leaves behind 3 children, and now the community is stepping in to help.
Catherine Merck joins us live with how you can help. Catherine?
Today, I spoke with some of the people in this community about how they knew the Ray family. They told me even though they're shaken by the news, their focus is now shifting toward taking care of the children that are left behind. Some of the neighbors that I spoke with have organized a GoFundMe to help with funeral costs and to support the Ray children. One of the people who's behind the GoFundMe has known the Rays for years. He told me that this is a time where emotions are difficult for everybody that's involved, but they said they had to do something.
We've received countless messages from friends and family of how they can help, and this was really the best way we thought we could, so we checked with the family, and they said it was okay.
The organizers of the GoFundMe wanted to make it clear that they asked for the family's permission to speak with me earlier today. A link to the GoFundMe is available on our website right now at channel3000.com. Reporting live in Madison, I'm Catherine Merck with News 3 Now.
Catherine, thank you. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there are resources available to help.
The National Domestic Violence Hotline is open 24/7, and that number is 800-799-7233. Time now to get a look at our certified most accurate forecast meteorologist, Julian Seawright, out on the weather patio. Julian?
Well, things are going to be pretty nice for us as we go throughout the rest of what we're going to be expecting for us for today. But taking a look at what we're seeing for us as we get out, well, we're going to be looking at some nice cool conditions for this evening. Sunshine is going to stick around, but we are still looking at that flow coming in from the east, which has brought in some cooler conditions for us throughout much of southern Wisconsin. But it's a bit of a disparity for areas just to the west. Now, taking a look at how we stacked up for today, some hazy skies, but overall plenty of sunshine. 72 degrees was our high so far for today here in Madison, and normally around 74, so just a couple degrees off, but overall things were still rather comfortable, mainly from Madison into the east. As we said, the disparity for the areas towards the west saw a little bit warmer temperatures, especially near Lone Rock, where they were flirting with around 80 degrees. Temperatures and dew points were still onto the milder side, but we saw some moisture still lingering for many of us from Madison and areas to the northwest. Now, as we take a look at how tonight's going to be faring for us, well, it's going to be partly cloudy, still not as cool as yesterday, but still overall rather cool once again. But since we are holding on to a bit of that moisture, we could expect some fog looking to develop once again from the overnight into our morning hours. We'll take a look at what else to expect for the rest of the week in just a few moments. Until then, back to you guys.
All right, Julian, thank you. We're less than 2 months out now from the November election, and the races tightened in today's Marquette Law School poll.
At the top of the ticket, the races for governor and U.S. Senate are now tied. Political reporter Will Keneally has more on what those numbers indicate. Will?
Well, it indicates that we might be looking at a photo finish in November. As we go through the numbers, keep in mind that the margin of error for this poll is pretty big, 5 points. So that means anything within 5 points is essentially a tie. We can see that here with the governor's race. Tony Evers has a slight edge over Tim Michels, but it's well within that margin of error. That's pretty close to what we saw at last month's Marquette poll, which was taken just after the August primary. Where we see a big change is in the U.S. Senate race. Ron Johnson has the edge now, but just by 1 point over Mandela Barnes. Barnes. Again, that's essentially a tie with the margin of error here. That's a huge gain for Johnson, who trailed Barnes by 7 points in last month's poll, again taken right after the August primary. Marquette poll director Charles Franklin says it's a very different environment going from the primary to the general election for Barnes.
Last month, one of the points we made was that Mandela Barnes had very positive views of him, favorable versus unfavorable. And I told you then, but 41% said they didn't know enough to have an opinion about him.
So Franklin says that those voters could be ripe to pull into Johnson's camp as they make up their minds. And he also found that independent voters make up the biggest shift from Barnes to Johnson between the two polls. We have a full analysis of these numbers up online at channel3000.com.
Well, thank you. The clock ticking, and the next threat to the supply chain is looming, with the possibility of the first national railroad strike in decades. About 60,000 workers set to go on strike after midnight Friday if their union reps don't come to an agreement on a new contract with rail companies. Amtrak has started canceling long-haul service on affected tracks, and that includes the Empire Builder that connects Minnesota, the Dells, Milwaukee, and Chicago. The railroad strike could also impact inflation, causing even more problems for the U.S. economy. Chris Wen explains.
A looming nationwide freight rail strike is getting closer to reality as negotiations continue in Washington.
You look at the fundamental infrastructure of the country, that affects everyone. And people tend to take it for granted.
Two rail unions representing about 60,000 engineers and conductors who make up the two-person crews on each train say scheduling rules that keep them on call virtually every day they're not at work, as well as a staffing shortage, are making their work lives intolerable. But the Association of American Railroads trade group says the union scheduling demands should be dealt with locally and not through national bargaining.
We have supply chain problems already. The ports are clogged. You throw in a rail strike and tens of thousands of containers can't get to where they want to go. That affects stores in our everyday lives.
About 30% of the nation's freight moves by rail, so a strike could be a crippling blow to the U.S. economy. Without freight railroads, oil refineries would have trouble producing their current volumes of gasoline, which could send prices higher. A strike could also disrupt the nation's food supply, preventing recently harvested crops from moving to food processors and disrupting the supply of fertilizer needed for upcoming plantings. And there could be negative impacts on the import of goods for the holiday shopping season, causing shortages and higher prices.
We have made crystal clear to the interested parties the harm that American families, businesses, and farmers and communities would experience if they were not to reach a resolution.
A strike could begin as early as Friday. In Washington, I'm Chris Wen.
Now, Congress can extend the negotiating period, but it's unclear if it will do so.
Bike advocacy organizations joined local leaders today to kick off Bike Dane. The event highlighted Dane County's efforts to improve the bicycle trail system that connects local communities to county parks and other regional trails. It also aims at making trails safer for bikers. There is something special about building your own home, and it's even more special when it's your first home.
A single mom in Dane County is accomplishing both this year, but she doesn't have to do it alone. Tahlil Modine joins us with more on the latest Habitat for Humanity build here in Dane County. Tahlil?
The walls of Letitia McEwen's future home just started taking shape this morning, but the vision she's had to build a better future for her daughter is something she's always planned for. Now she's getting the help she needs to make it happen.
It was the sound of hammers, not a pinch, that snapped Letitia McEwen back to reality.
It's amazing. It's a dream to come true, and I still think this is a dream.
After years of wishing and a long application process, McEwen saw the walls to her very own home take shape.
Can't believe this is really happening, so I'm very grateful.
But the single mother isn't just picturing her future, she's rolling up her sleeves and getting to work with Dane County's Habitat for Humanity.
And that's a key part of her sweat equity, which she's going to do working on her home, working on her neighbors' homes, helping us out in the restore, and supporting our mission.
Today's project was at Springs Window Fashions in Middleton. About 75 employees volunteered to help on the build. Middleton's mayor, another helper.
For me, it's a community service, and that's true here too. And considering that finding affordable homes, whether it's Milton or other part of Dane County, is very, very difficult.
It's a challenge Letitia, like many, knows all too well.
I've always been renting. As a single mom, it's a little difficult at times. So to have a house that I can call my own and I don't have to look for duplexes anymore or my rent's going to increase.
But soon she'll be able to say goodbye to that rent and hello to a mortgage finance through Habitat itself. Habitat for Humanity has built more than 300 homes in Dane County alone since 1987.
A great story. Tahlil, thank you. And next at 5, health officials say the end of the COVID pandemic is now in sight.
Plus an update on the monkeypox outbreak in the U.S., a closer look at what progress is being made after the break. And later, the family of a man who died after falling from a rising drawbridge is now suing the city of Milwaukee. We'll have details on that tonight at 6.
And a check of Wall Street. The Dow turning back on 2 straight days of losses, gaining 30 points. The Nasdaq adds 86, S&P up 13. We'll be right back.
Your John Deere is here. Get yours during Deere Days of Summer. Your new full-size, mid-size, or HPX Gator with 0% for 36 months. Get a John Deere now and
power up at Sloan's.
Get your Gator running. Test drive one today at Sloan's.
I'm gonna miss you.
At Prudential, we can't tell you when your kids will finally go out on their own. But we can at least make sure that when they do, you're ready. That's why millions rely on us for the rock-solid strength that helps you plan for and achieve your retirement dreams. Whichever road you take, who's your rock?
Those brave men and women of our armed forces, generations of them. Why should today's burdens fall back onto them? They were there for us. Now let's be there for them. Your local Wisconsin energy providers and the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund are working together to deliver Wisconsin veterans in crisis heat, power, and help staying in their home. But they can't do it alone. Donate today.
Dear Senator Johnson, living on a fixed income, it's a struggle. I paid into Social Security and Medicare every paycheck. So it was a slap in the face when you voted to weaken Medicare. That would increase out-of-pocket costs. And when you wanted to let Wall Street gamble with Social Security. Senator Johnson, you look out for yourself and your fat cat donors, but have forgotten about us. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Everything seems to be getting more and more expensive these days. And it's the same for your heating bills. Since it will cost more to heat your home this winter, USA Insulation wants to give you control over your utility bills. Our premium injection foam keeps the cold outside and your warm, comfortable air inside, right where it belongs. Call now before winter and get a $500 early bird discount.
USA Insulation.
Your John Deere is here. Get yours during Deere Days of Summer. Right now, get 0% for 84 months on a 1 Series. Get a John Deere now and
power up with Sloan's.
Run with a 1 Family Series. Test drive one at Sloan's.
For the children of a couple killed in a murder-suicide, friends are rallying support for the children. We speak with the families taking care of each other. Then Will Keneally gives you a reality check. He dives into Tim Michael's stance on abortion. That's tonight at 6.
News 3 Now's Call for Action team is here for you, exposing scams, mediating consumer disputes, and getting results. Contact us by phone or on channel3000.com.
Call for Action only on News 3 Now.
We're taking action for you.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
U.S. health officials traveled to Capitol Hill today to discuss the nation's monkeypox response. It comes after a California resident with a compromised immune system died from the virus. Dina Demetrius has the latest from Los Angeles.
By every measure,
The response from the Biden administration on monkeypox crisis has been a catastrophic failure.
Senators on both sides of the aisle held nothing back as they grilled public health officials during a Senate hearing about the spread of monkeypox in the U.S.
Too many missteps were made early on in the response, and a couple hundred cases turned into 21,000.
Monkeypox is now in all 50 states. The CDC says while the spread of the virus is slowing down, there are still pockets of the country where cases are on the rise.
We approach this news with cautious optimism, recognizing that we must continue to aggressively respond to with our entire toolkit, including vaccination, testing, and education about risk to inform behavior change.
The CDC says it's increased the amount of tests to 80,000 per week. And so far, more than 540,000 vaccines have been administered, with millions more available.
The U.S. response to monkeypox should, in turn, help to inform our response to the inevitable next emerging or re-emerging infectious disease of pandemic potential.
You repeated each of the mistakes of the early days of the COVID response and the cultural arrogance from public health officials who are supposed to be at the forefront of our response let this country down again.
The Senate hearing comes just days after the monkeypox virus claimed its first victim here in Los Angeles. The LA County Department of Public Health is not releasing any other information about the victim except to say that they had a severely weakened immune system. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The CDC director recently ordered an internal reorganization over the agency's COVID-19 response after a report found the CDC had become too rigid and bureaucratic to act quickly.
The World Health Organization says the end of the COVID-19 pandemic is now in sight. The organization's director general warns there is still a risk of more variants, death, and uncertainty, but says the world is in its best position to date to end the pandemic. Officials say just under 11,000 COVID deaths were reported this past week. The death rate hasn't been this low since the beginning of the pandemic. That was back in March of 2020. Now, if you're wondering, Dane County still in the low community spread level, 7-day average of 185 new cases. About 164 cases have been reported per 100,000 people.
President Biden is revving up the push for electric vehicles at the North American International Auto Show in Battleground, Michigan. He announced the approval of $900 million to build more electric vehicle chargers spanning 53,000 miles of the national highway system. That's just part of an overall budget set aside for 500,000 chargers across the country by the end of the decade.
Now we're choosing to build a better America, an America that's confronting the climate crisis with America's workers leading the way.
The administration has set a goal for electric vehicles to make up to 50% of all U.S. car sales by 2030.
Well, let's get a look now at your certified most accurate weather. Meteorologist Julian C. Wright in your forecast. Julian?
Well, we actually had a nice day in terms of our surface temperatures, but a bit more hazy conditions were sticking around for our skies. As you can see, just outside of our sky camp, just a light layer of that smoke that's coming from the wildfires over into the western parts of the United States. Now, there, as you can see, the pins on your screen are the active fires as of right now, and that gray that you're looking at, not the pin, but the actual area, is where we're looking at the dense smoke advisory that's in effect as of right now. But we can see as we're tracking out the rest of the smoke and haze that's moving its way through, we're going to be looking at hazy skies to stick around throughout the course of tonight and even going into the early parts of our Thursday before finally clearing out by the time we get into our Friday. So that's just one thing to watch for. But outside of it, here's our 3 things we're going to need to know. It's still going to feel like summer for the next few days. We're looking at temperatures to really start to ramp up by the time we get into our Thursday afternoon. We're looking at a southerly flow to carry into a bit more moisture and some more warmer air. So we're looking at upper 70s and even the low 80s for the next few days for many of us. Then storm chances are looking to return by the time we get into our Friday night, into our Saturday and Sunday as well. This is what we're looking at on our surface map. Now, we were looking at temperatures to be more into the mid-70s for many of us in southern Wisconsin, but we had these easterly flowing winds that came in off of the lake, which brought in a bit more cooler temperatures for us. But outside of that, we're still looking at the disparities between the cooler side of us and areas to the west, which were actually a bit more warmer. Now, on top of that, we're looking at the dew points. We are bringing in a bit more of that moisture because of that flow rolling itself in. So some areas we're still on the humid side throughout the course of the day. Not overly uncomfortable. We could still feel a bit of that humidity in our air. Now, outside of that, this is what we're seeing for the rest of this evening. Temperatures will fall into the 60s for many, and still a couple of clouds will stick around. But then as we go into the overnight, we are looking for some fog development once again by the time we get into our overnight hours and into our Thursday morning. But outside of the fog, we are looking for a bit more of the cloud cover to roll its way in. Temperatures will be relatively stable overnight, but we're going to be warming up as that southerly flow carries in a bit more warmth into southern Wisconsin. So we're talking, once again, upper 70s from Madison and areas to the south and areas to the west and a bit to the north. Could even see those lower 80s. Then as we transition our Thursday nights, we're looking for things to stay rather mild. Cloud cover is going to keep things rather mild for us overnight, and transitioning into our Friday, we're looking for another warm day ahead of us, but not many of us are going to be looking at much in terms of rain until we get into this weekend. Saturday, we're looking at periods, but best period is going to be our Saturday night, transitioning into our Sunday morning, afternoon, and evening for us to see showers or even potentially thunderstorms that are going to be more widespread. How much more? Well, we're looking at rain to be around 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch of rainfall for much of us here in southern Wisconsin, so that's one thing to watch for. But then here's our 10-day forecast. In the next few days, as I mentioned, it's going to be warm, especially as we head into next week, but then we're looking for some cooler air as we're starting to welcome in our official fall weather. Now, outside of that, we're looking at our traffic. It's pretty smooth along the Beltline. All green as of right now for our 5 p.m. commute. And even for the interstates, we're looking more or less the same. That's going to do it for our weather and traffic updates. Over to you guys.
All right, Julian, thank you. More than 16 million Americans are living with cognitive impairment, according to the CDC. But a new study suggests a daily multivitamin may slow cognitive aging. Over a 3-year period, older adults over 65 were given either a multivitamin or a placebo, and their cognition was tested each year. Researchers found after 3 years, those who took the multivitamin appeared to have slowed cognitive aging by about 60%.
It is possible that in some older Americans, particularly those with cardiovascular disease, where they actually saw an enhanced benefit in this study, there may be micronutrient deficiencies, so people aren't getting enough in their diet, and that by giving them back, we may be able to promote cognitive function.
The researchers say they were shocked at the results of this study, and while health experts say the results are promising, larger and more diverse studies are now needed. Well, just ahead, who has the best tasting water in the state? We'll have the results from a competition at Monona Terrace coming up next at 5.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Trust your feet to Morgan's Shoes.
Loa Footwear, a name synonymous with premium outdoor footwear for 80-plus years. Our patented mono-wrap construction wraps the foot in a lightweight yet firmly supportive frame. We use a softer polyurethane in our midsoles that provides better shock absorption and ultimate comfort underfoot. Plus, our patented Gore-Tex liner is more durable and creates a smoother fit, thus less potential for blisters or discomfort.
Comfort with style. Trust your feet to Morgan Shoes.
Morgan Shoes, Hilldale.
Hey y'all, it's Pookie. I'm here to tell you about the pet insurance now offered by Physicians Mutual. And they take everybody, it don't matter your age or fur. So let's get a little personal, y'all. Not too long ago, it would hurt when I went to tinkle. I know, unpleasant stuff, but my mama took me to the vet and I'm back to living my best life. And my mama had pet insurance, so goodbye, high vet bill. Now there's money for hair, nails, and pearly whites. Tell your human about
Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
Do you feel safe? Mandela Barnes would eliminate cash bail, setting accused criminals free into the community before trial. Even with shootings, robberies, carjackings, violent attacks on our police. More than 300 murders last year alone. Yet Barnes has even supported defunding the police. Mandela Barnes, he stands with them, not us. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Your spirit is stronger than your highs and lows. Your creativity can outshine any bad day because you are greater than your bipolar 1. And you can help take control of your symptoms and ask about Vraylar. Some medicines only treat the lows or highs. Once daily Vraylar is proven to treat depressive, acute manic, and mixed episodes of bipolar 1 in adults. Full spectrum relief for all bipolar 1 symptoms. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain, and high blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, may occur. Movement dysfunction and restlessness are common side effects. Sleepiness and stomach issues are also common. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. You are greater than your bipolar 1. Ask about Vraylar and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Now's the perfect time to get your roofing project off the ground with Feldco. As the seasons change, you want to be sure your house is ready for the harsh Midwestern weather ahead. For just $279 a month, you can protect your home and your family with a new Feldco roof. So get your fall started off on the right foot today with Feldco.
Roofing for $279 a month and soon. Hurry, call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Okay, it is official apparently. Menasha has the best tasting water in the state of Wisconsin.
The Menasha Water Utility took home the title at a conference today at Monona Terrace. Judges tasted water from across the state, awarding points for color, odor, and taste. The water in Menasha is pulled from Lake Winnebago, and about 2 million gallons are used each day.
Water clarity, so you don't want any fogginess to the water, any discoloration, and then really no aftertaste, no odors to it, really to be able to drink and have a truly refreshing drink of water.
Susan, it's sturgeon flavored water.
Yeah, there you go. That's the ticket. Menasha now moves on to represent Wisconsin and compete in North America's water competition in Toronto next June.
Good luck, Menasha. Final check of your First Warn forecast in just a moment.
I've always loved building things. Not just structures and skyscrapers, but teams who make it all possible. After all, we wouldn't be where we are today without them. So we made sure that, like these buildings, their futures may also stand the test of time.
Raising healthy children takes a village, and kids thrive when their village is healthy too.
SSM Health and News 3 Now are helping you unlock a healthier world with our Time for Kids Keys to Health campaign. We'll show you how sustainable choices create healthier lifestyles, explore the impacts of food security on families,
and share ways we can help build a healthy community together. So join us on air, online, and in your village.
and take time for kids.
Family-owned Brothers Maine knows choosing appliances for a remodel or new build can be exciting and overwhelming. Our experienced staff has experienced it all as we've guided thousands of area families through appliance selection. Brothers Maine has a larger inventory and low-price deals that consistently beat competitors, including Big Box. You heard me, Big Box can't beat our prices. From sales to install, Brothers Maine does it all. Feel great about your purchases and feel like family at Brothers Maine.
Start your next project with 11% off from Menards. Chamberlain garage door openers offer innovative features like MyQ technology, which allows you to control your garage from anywhere. All Chamberlain garage door openers are now 11% off. Let in the sunshine and fresh air with a new Larson Storm Door. We carry over 30 styles of Larson Storm Doors, so you can pick the perfect door for your home. Now 11% off at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Migraine attacks? You can't always avoid triggers like stress. Qulipta can help prevent migraine attacks. You can't prevent what's going on outside. That's why Qulipta helps what's going on inside. Qulipta is a pill, gets right to work to prevent migraine attacks and keeps them away over time. Qulipta blocks CGRP, a protein believed to be a cause of migraine attacks. Qulipta is a preventive treatment for episodic migraine. Most common side effects are nausea, constipation, and tiredness. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Qulipta.
The Socialist Squad led the charge to defund the police and eliminate bail for dangerous felons. Now violent crime is surging in Wisconsin.
More people have been killed in Milwaukee this year than in any previous year.
Mandela Barnes attacked the Kenosha police and incited more violence.
The officer's deadly actions attempted to take a person's life in broad daylight. This felt like some sort of vendetta.
Mandela Barnes, dangerously liberal on crime.
I'm Ron Johnson, and I approve this message.
We've got a lot of news tonight. A united royal family begins its goodbyes to the Queen. The small tributes from Princess Kate and Meghan Markle as mourners line up to pay their respects. Plus, Ukraine takes back territory as President Zelensky makes an unannounced visit to a just liberated city. And our Deborah Patta is with him. And with prices on the rise, our interview with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on when inflation may ease. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Julian's back. Final check of the forecast.
Well, the good news is it's going to feel like summer, but it might be a little too much like summer as we head into this weekend because we're looking at storm chances to return for us as we continue to climb that ladder of temperatures throughout Monday and Tuesday before fall finally looks to roll in, getting into the next weekend.
All right. Not too bad.
Yeah,
Still hanging around those warmer temperatures. All right, we'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell.